Hello everyone, my name is Vincent Teo, and this is the Philips 805, which is an entry-level OLED from the company for the year 2020. We are reviewing the 65-inch version, model number Philips 65 OLED 805, but it's also available in a smaller screen size of 85 inches. Key features on the Philips 805 include the brand's 4th generation P5 processing, 3-sided Ambilight integrated bias lighting, multi-HDR support for HDR10, HLG, HDR10 Plus and Dolby Vision, internal Dolby Vision sound decoding, as well as Android TV 9.0 Pie Smart TV platform. The design is very similar to last year's 804, with an ultra-slim bezel and body which eventually has to put on some weight towards the bottom to house the internal electronics and power supply. The OLED panel sits on a pair of low-profile feet with a dark chrome finish. But because we wanted to use the Philips 805 together with a soundbar we are reviewing at the moment, we opted to use the supplied riser columns to raise the television by a few inches. Due to how the columns are designed, assembly wasn't the easiest, but we weren't put off, since it's not the first time we've stuffed things into a hole and started screwing blindly. The connections are found on the left rear of the television, including 4 HDMI 2.0B inputs whose only HDMI 2.1 feature implemented is ALLM or Auto Low Latency mode. The 805 OLED ships with Philips' new premium remote, which features a sleek elongated design, leather-coated back and flushed buttons, most of which light up when you press a key. The Smart TV experience is powered by a MediaTek MT5887 SoC with 2.5GB of RAM, serving Android Pie 9.0, and all the key streaming apps are on board, including Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, YouTube, and Disney Plus out of the box, as well as the Philips TV collection which, among other content, serves up some smart at your fingertips. For UK owners, there's also Freeview Play, which provides access to all the major UK catch-up TV services such as BBC iPlayer, ITV Hub, All4 and My5. Before I start talking about picture quality, I would like to thank Richard Sounds Manchester for sponsoring this video. If you are thinking about getting a new television, even if it's not the Philips 805, please support this channel by considering buying from them. Call 0333 900 0086, mention HDTV test, and you will receive great price and service. Thanks again for your support. The 65-inch Philips 805 uses a 2020 OLED panel from LG Display, judging from the Z-shaped green subpixel captured using a digital microscope. All OLED TVs are capable of true blacks owing to the technology's self-emissive properties, so we normally focus our attention on near black handling, which is a key area that separates one OLED brand from another. On this moving HDR10 quantization test pattern just above black, kindly supplied by Stacey Spears of Spears & Mansell fame, the Philips 805 presented the gradation in a blockier manner, interspersed with flashing artifacts here and there. What this means is that near-black chrominance overshoot wasn't suppressed as effectively as what's found on Panasonic and LG OLEDs, which would manifest itself in heavily compressed real-world material too. To mitigate these artifacts, you can try going into the Picture Clean submenu and engaging both noise reduction and impact artifact reduction. But please bear in mind that you will lose some fine detail too, resulting in a soft, filtered look if you go too aggressive on the settings. The AI implementation on the Philips 65 OLED 805 can be a touch confusing. To clarify, all picture presets carry some form of AI-assisted image processing, which uses deep learning algorithms to categorize the type of content on screen, for example, face, nature, motion, etc., after which the TV's video processing can be adapted appropriately to the identified content. However, the advanced AI settings are grayed out in all picture modes except AI, which may lead some owners to mistakenly assume that AI processing is only active with picture styles set to AI. Upon further testing, Picture Styles AI is very similar to the Vivid mode with most calibration controls locked out, so we chose to calibrate the television in the most accurate ISF and movie picture presets instead. Talking of movie mode, it is actually the filmmaker mode on the Philips 805, even if it's not labeled as such. You can ask the TV to automatically switch into movie mode upon detection of filmmaker mode flag in the content. Although at the time we filmed this video in September 2020, we are aware of no such filmmaker mode content available to consumers yet. Calibration of our Philips 805 review unit went well with the supplied 2-point and 20-point white balance controls. Although just like on previous Philips TVs, the custom white balance memory bank is shared between SDR and HDR on the ISF and movie picture preset, so we had to balance out the errors across SDR and HDR, which isn't ideal compared with other TV manufacturers who offer independent SDR and HDR white balance settings, or Sony TVs which apply an acceptable SDR to HDR offset once SDR is calibrated. Anyway, on this challenging color checker SG chart where 140 colors were measured, average data errors in SDR mode measured 1.27 after calibration, with only a couple of colors exceeding the humanly perceptible threshold of delta error 3. As a result, colors looked natural and realistic in real-world content, helped by OLED's self-illuminating characteristic, which means there's no backlight to fight against. Unlike other 2020 OLED models from A brands, the Philips 805 is not equipped with 120Hz black-free insertion. In fact, the TV doesn't even provide any black-free insertion or BFI option in the user menu. However, some solace can be taken in the fact that Philips offers one of the most effective motion-compensated frame interpolation on the market, and this has been refined further for 2020. Under the Motion Styles submenu, there is now a new Pure Cinema setting which applies 5.5 pull-down to 24 frames per second films, removing telescenic judder from slow panning shots. Some viewers are still sensitive to the inherent 24p judder caused by OLED's near-instantaneous pixel response time, so Philips has revamped the Motion Styles movie setting to add in a small dose of frame interpolation to smooth out the 24p judder. The resulting SOE or soap opera effect was very mild, but because it still introduced some interpolation artifacts in complex scenes. Plus, we are purists and could detect SOE however minimal. We very much preferred the Pure Cinema option. Otherwise, engaging Motion Styles more than double motion resolution from the sample and hold baseline of 300 lines to 650 lines on this horizontally scrolling test pattern. And selecting Motion Styles Personal will let you customize Perfect Natural Motion, which is de-judder for low frame rate content, and Perfect Clear Motion, which is de-blur for high frame rate content. Video processing was cleaner than some Philips TVs we've reviewed in the past, revealing no undefeatable edge enhancement on this 1080p Luma zone plate pattern. Upscaling was decent on this SMPTE RP133 test card in 576i, although we could see some junk pixels, overshoot and fizziness due to heavier processing. The TV correctly detected 2.2 and 3.2 cadences, eradicating jaggies and line twitter in interlaced film-based material. On this 1080p test pattern from the Spears & Munsell HD benchmark disc, the Philips 805 only passed full chroma bandwidth in monitor mode, which is exclusively available at 60Hz and not in game mode at any refresh rate. Overscan can be disabled by setting picture format to original, and while Philips has halved the horizontal latitude of the inbuilt pixel shifting compared with the company's previous OLEDs, it cannot be disabled completely, so occasionally you would see up to 4 pixels shifted to one side. Bright uniformity on our review sample was superb as you can expect from OLED, with no dirty screen effect or banding, and just the slightest hint of blue tint in the center if we stared long and hard enough at the screen, which didn't bother us in actual viewing of real-life moving content. Dark uniformity was so-so, exhibiting the thin vertical streaks typical of consumer OLED TVs, as well as 2 darker patches on either side of the screen. Because we had to overexpose our camera and increase our ISO to capture dark detail, The non-uniformity looked worse on camera than in person. We seldom saw it in real-world material. For HDR, peak brightness measured just over 700 nits on a 10% window after calibration to D65 white point, and 125 nits full fill. DCI-P3 came in at 98% UV, while Rec 2020 was 75%, with no significant change in spectral power distribution captured using our Jetty 1511 spectral radiometer. A peak luminance of 700 nits meant that bright specular highlights had a bit more impact than that observed on all other 2020 OLEDs except for the Panasonic AZ2000, which is equipped with a custom professional panel. There remain some minor polarization in the skies of the Martian, but it's much improved over 2018's Philips 803 and 903. Another improvement over last year's 804 is that the Philips 805 now adapts its tone mapping to max CRL metadata, but only with HDR Perfect set to off or automatic. According to our testing, HDR Perfect off was the most accurate. In this scene from Wonder Woman, which features a max CRL above 1000 nits, the lightning would appear clipped in all HDR Perfect settings except when it's set to off. As you can see from the edit interpreted by the excellent Meridio 7G signal generator, the Dolby Vision profile implemented on the Philips OLED805 is the TV-led version, allowing for scene-by-scene or even frame-by-frame optimization of the tone mapping and color mapping, without any sign of black crush which might have affected previous Philips OLEDs. The eagle-eyed among you may also have spotted from the edit that the Philips 805 continues to support DTS, in a year where more and more TV manufacturers are abandoning support for the audio codec, though of course there's no eARC on board to pass through DTS HD master audio. The sound quality of the inbuilt speakers was very good, with sufficient low-end oomph, clear dialogue body, and even impressive transient extraction. It is arguably the best sounding television in its price class, certainly among OLEDs. For gaming, input lag measured 33 milliseconds in game mode with a 60Hz video signal, and since there's no support for the HDMI 2.1 gaming features of VRR and 4K at 120Hz, the 805 will probably be avoided by gamers wanting a new TV to pair up with next-gen consoles, such as the Xbox Series X and Sony PS5 arriving at the end of the year. The Ambilight implemented on the Philips 805 is the 3-sided version, and while some viewers may enjoy the added immersion provided by the follow video mode, our preference was for the more accurate static D65 white under the launch light submenu, taking care to drop the brightness to avoid overpowering shadow detail, especially when watching HDR content. To sum up, the Philips 805 is a solid successor to last year's 804, with key picture quality upgrades being better highlight detail preservation in 4000 nit HDR content and less conspicuous pixel shifting. The absence of HDMI 2.1 and 120Hz blacklight insertion is disappointing, but the Philips 805's unique Ambilight feature, high-quality video processing, and extremely competitive price earns it our Best Value Award. If you'd like to take a look at other 2020 OLEDs we have reviewed in a technical manner, I've compiled a playlist here. And if you would like to watch some of our side-by-side comparisons between different OLEDs, please click here, and I will see you in the next video.